Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to another broadcast here for Fast Break here live for iSports Radio. Your week for all is sports, and you're welcome to join us. On tonight's show, lots to talk about. The trade deadline coming up, Locke. Plus, a lot of good action going on in college basketball. The Cavaliers kind of on a losing streak right now. What you want to discuss here tonight on tonight's show?
It's been a very interesting season so far. I still want to talk about this Jimmy Butler situation. I mean, now it's kind of going up and down a little bit. I also want to dive into how Memphis has been looking. Surprisingly, they are up there, looking very good so far. I'm also diving slightly into my Magic. Slowly getting back healthy with a few people. Ben Carroll's starting to get in the thick of things. But their play is not being as it was before, so let's see if they can kind of hold on to that. There's a lot that we definitely talk about, especially championship weekend.
Yeah, championship weekend going on in the NFL right now. Your Magic finally getting back healthy. Franz Wagner back in the fold now and things. South Carolina women's knocking off LSU this past Friday, so we'll touch on that as well. There's a lot of big upsets in college basketball, especially on the men's side. So we'll discuss all those things after these few short messages after this break. But this is Fast Break here live for iSports Radio. You're the week for all sports. We'll catch you on the other side.
Hi, eSports Radio fans. This show is brought to you by Planet Jerky Premium Brisket Beef Jerky. Planet Jerky is the official jerky of the 2022 California League champion Lake Elsinore Storm, Single A affiliate of the San Diego Padres. This all brisket jerky has gluten-free options, contains no MSG, no sodium nitrate, is low in sugar, and high in protein. Go to their website at planetjerky.net and follow them on Instagram at Planet Jerky. Planet Jerky, the jerky that's on a whole other planet.
Rise and shine. It's 4 a.m. The stars are still out. The sun is beneath the horizon, but it's time to punch in and go to work. The comfort of your warm-ups turns into the grinding out of your reps as the clinking and the clinking of the plates create a symphony of euphoria. There's no other feeling like it. Earn it, burn it, and take what's yours. iSports Radio has proudly partnered with Vital Apparel, a brand that not only fits great, but also promotes and donates to mental health research. Use our code IESR to get 15% off their comfortable and inspiring gym wear and help them on their amazing journey to support mental health. Go hard, take part in your iron therapy, and be strong. Because when your mental health is as strong as you are, there's no telling how far you'll go.
Hey there, iEsports Radio fans. Be sure to check out our sponsor, Seal the Deal Wax Seals by Cecilia B. You just finished your very own wedding or baby shower invitations and you're looking for that extra special touch? Maybe you just wrote a letter to a relative or a friend and you want to add to their smile when they receive it. Then seal the deal with Cecilia's handmade sealing wax stamps for your invitations, letters, and gifts. You bring the deal, we'll bring the seal. You can find them on Instagram at sealthedeal_wax stamps and on Facebook, Seal the Deal Wax Seals.
For the last 10 years, IE Sports Radio has been bringing you amazing content ranging from interviewing legendary athletes, coaches, and other authorized media personnel to building tailor-made shows dedicated to all major sports cities around the country. Make sure to follow us at IE Sports Radio on X, Instagram, Facebook, TikTok, and YouTube to keep up with the latest in sports and with all of our shows. Also, make sure to check out our daily updated website at iesportsradio.com. At iesportsradio.com, you can see our daily show schedule and check out all of our show pages with personal bios to learn a little bit more about each of our awesome hosts. In addition to our show pages, you can catch the iSports Radio blog, Hall of Fame, Fans of the Month page, and our merchandise shop, including t-shirts, tank tops, caps, long sleeves, hoodies, and more. For now over a decade here at IE Sports Radio, we've continued to be by the fans, for the fans, and we thank you all for your support and for making IE Sports Radio your direct feed for all that is sports.
And welcome back. Thank you for listening to those few short messages here for IE Sports Radio, or Fast Break here for IE Sports Radio. You're the week for all sports. They help pay the bills. And speaking of bills, the Bills scored on the Chiefs. I don't know if you saw that touchdown by Mac Hollins, but that was a thing of beauty right there, D-Locke. Right there. And that game will be going forward while we're doing this show here. So, and Darren Rodriguez, how you doing tonight, sir? Towards the end of the show, we'll touch on Kobe and 5 years. I mean, damn, man, it's been 5 years.
Yeah, it's crazy.
5 years, and then we had we'll talk about that, like pandemic, a presidential election, and then the summer protests all that year. Woo! And the bubble too. So a lot to talk about there. Oh, we'll talk about that later on. But before we get started here, I want to talk about our newest sponsor here at IE Sports Radio, Raw Nutrition Supplements. Go to getrawnutrition.com. Use the promo code IESR for 10% off. That's IESR for 10% off. New year, new you. Let Raw Nutrition help you get right for the springtime and summertime with this supplements. So go to getrawnutrition.com. Use the promo code IESR, 10% off. Hey, you got a little discount, so hit on that. Do follow the show's page right there on X / Twitter, we also want to call it Fast Break IESR. That's Fast Break IESR. So do follow the show's page there. D-Locke, I don't know where you go. I know you. We'll start with Jimmy Butler again because it's just like something always has been coming up again, and he got suspended again for 2 games this time around, just 2. He comes back against your Orlando Magic here on Tuesday, I believe. Let me double check that because no game because they're games tomorrow. Let me double check that. No, actually, yeah, tomorrow. So yeah, he's coming back against the Heat. I mean, against your Magic tomorrow. Another 2-game suspension for him. What's the end goal in all this in your eyes? Like, is he really trying to force their hand, or what do you think should be the resolution for everything? Because he can't continue to get suspended and all this stuff and think everything's cool. And think they, Pat Riley's going to just just bow down to him. What do you think should be the end resolution for everybody involved?
I mean, I think the biggest thing that they have to do is they probably need to move on from him. I mean, I think that's the biggest way to go about it at this point. I think knowing how this is going is always something right now with Jimmy Butler. So for me, I think that first, he got suspended. Then he wants to leave. He publicly said that. Then they bring him back. Then he gives a mediocre performance. And now he's suspended again. So at this point, I think you have to deal with just what the results are. You know what I'm saying? Like Jimmy's showing what how he feels. And we know he's done this in multiple different, teams and areas. So for me, I think the relationship between him and Pat Riley is destroyed. See, I don't think it's going to go back to what it was before. So I think that at the same time now, it's best for them to decide to actually move on. It's just too much stuff going on for me to even be comfortable with. Seeing Jimmy Butler come in for a couple of games and get suspended, this is giving like middle school type stuff, man. So go ahead and just start making calls, which I think they are, and move on from Jimmy Butler. Build with your young pieces as well.
I think for me, the 2-game suspension is like another thing. It's just like, damn, dude, I don't know where you're trying to go with it. And you've been in the NBA. He's been in the NBA long enough that you cross paths with people that dealt with Pat Riley, or know how the habits of the Heat and stuff like that, all that good stuff. So my thing is, like, you've been in an organization for years now. Pretty sure you kind of got like an idea of how things are before you got there. Now you're in bed with the team and all that stuff. Probably been to Pat Riley's house multiple times, all that good stuff. I don't know where he's trying to go with this. The attitude, stuff like that. Like you just mentioned, the attitude he had in Minnesota. Philly, he was just there for a year. Chicago, can't really speak too much because I don't think he's much I won't say headache there, but we kind of saw that side of him in Minnesota and all that stuff. So it's just like, I don't know what you're trying to do, dog. I really don't know. And it sucks to see this, for a player that I enjoy watching. I'm not saying he's the last of the dying breed, but a guy like a headstrong guy like that, a two-way guy like that, but can put the team on your back like that, slowly down way in the NBA. All these young kids coming in right now, some of them don't really got that dog mentality like that.
Right.
SGA, Kay Cunningham, maybe Jalen Green down in Houston, maybe those few exceptions. But Butler, LeBron, AD, Chris Paul, that dying breed right there. So I really don't know what's going to happen with this situation. I'm looking at right now. There's still about the rumors of him going to go to the Heat and the Suns, and that's surprise saga there. So let me ask you this: with the trade deadline coming up, here on February 6th. I know we kind of discussed this for the past couple of weeks. What's a good home for Jimmy Butler?
Ooh, that's a good question. Man. How Jimmy plays, you know what? I was gonna say Orlando Magic, but Franz Wagner is back now. They're starting to get things kind of going together. You know what? This is probably gonna lead into us talking about them. I brought them up, but the Memphis Grizzlies. I mean, that is a team that's kind of far off, but I think that how this team is playing, Desmond Bain, John Morant, obviously in the rotation with a few guys. I think you bring him in with Jaren Jackson, John Morant, Desmond Bain. I think you have a solid four. With what Jimmy Butler can bring as a defender. I don't think that's a. I think that's a pretty decent area for him. I think, he could fit perfectly. In Memphis. I mean, like I said, he can continue to bring the energy that he has. Maybe he can kind of mentor a little bit of John Morant and what that young team needs. This team is young; they're going to be good. But we talked about it a couple of years ago. They need that veteran piece that could probably make a big difference for them. So for me, even though that's a little different than as expected, we did talk about Phoenix. I don't really like Phoenix too much. That team is just giving me Kevin Durant is not the Kevin Durant we know or we've seen for a while. The one that grabbed the 8 boards, 6 assists, and go get you 35. It's more so of a score now. With him, Bradley Beal, Devin Booker, not too much liking that. And now that the Magic got Franz Wagner and they're getting their pieces back, I think a better place would be for Jimmy Butler would be Memphis.
Well, I'm looking right here. Mark Spears, he was on the NBA Today show a couple days ago. And I know, and Memphis sounds like a good location for him. I mean, I think he should consider it. But I guess Jimmy told him, hey, I want to leave Miami. I want to finish my career anywhere but Memphis.
Well.
So, fit-wise, John Morant, Desmond Bain, Jimmy Butler, Jaren Jackson, and Zach Edey down low. Hey, that's a hell of a line. That's a hell of a lineup right there.
That's what I'm thinking right now, looking at it.
And you see how Zach Edey's, just kind of like, kind of be, John Morant's enforcer and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
Kind of like being like, I don't know if you ever seen the Alex Allen movie, Happy Gilmore?
Yes.
That big old dude at the golf course.
Yeah.
Always got shooter problems.
Yep.
A lot of people kind of compare Zach Edey to that dude right there, and how he's so protective of John Morant. But on paper, yeah, Memphis looks good if they want to make a move like that. They got the young players, assets. Maybe add trade Marcus Smart. But that's a good fit. But if Butler don't want to go there, I mean, just don't do it. But on paper, it looks good. It looks good. But I kind of go back to last week, where I kind of threw out. Julius Randle thing in Minnesota has been like more missed than hit. I proposed and you got BI down there still, working out, trying to work that deal down there. I proposed and I don't know that we'll go for this, but send Jimmy to New Orleans. Since he don't go to Memphis, hey, will New Orleans be cool with you? Send him there.
Mm-hmm.
Send BI to Minnesota and send Julius Randle to Miami. It's a perfect situation for everybody. You get more spacing in Minnesota. Butler can be he'd be the alpha dog down there in New Orleans.
But that's what exactly.
And in that scenario, what do you think will happen with the dynamic between a Butler and Zion Williamson matching?
I mean,
because if he thought Carney Towns was soft and all that stuff, well, you gonna take a Zion.
He definitely going to have his thoughts with Zion, but I think being the fact that I think Jimmy Butler and Zion is the very comparison what I said with Jimmy Butler and John Morant as far as him being that mentor, right? These are the things that Zion may need. We talked about the moving on from Zion, but if you do bring in somebody like a Jimmy Butler, maybe he brings that energy to where he could bring the energy to where he can sit Zion down and say, hey, look, this is what you need to do, right? This is how you need to move as a basketball player to stay in this league and to be really good at. So for me, I mean, I think he actually would help Zion in my eyes.
And speaking of trade deadline, D-Locke, some breaking news going down in the WNBA. And this has been discussed about for the past couple of days. The Las Vegas Aces acquired 6-time All-Star Drew Lloyd from the Seattle Storm in that multi-team trade. Kelsey Plum, star shooting guard for the Las Vegas Aces, is being sent to the Sparks. And this is all according to Sham Saradia. I'm trying to pull it up right now. Hold on. And this is breaking news, ladies and gentlemen. So let's see. Give me just a second. The Storm also requiring the number 2 pick in the 2025 draft, which the Sparks held, and Lee Euro from the Sparks in this 3-team trade, with the Sparks getting the number 9 from Seattle and the Aces receiving number 13 from LA. So this is from Shams, Ramona Shelburne, and Kendra Andrews as well, reporting this as well. So, and some of y'all don't know about this, Drew Lloyd, if I'm not mistaken, and make sure I get my correct. Drew Lloyd, I don't know if you remember this or not.
Mm-hmm.
There was an investigation into like the Storm's reputation and practices and stuff like that, similar to like the Aces, where they Brianna Henry and how they treated her when she was pregnant, and all that stuff,
mm-hmm.
and Becky Hammond, and them like say, "You pregnant? You can't come back here," and blah 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 blah, and all that stuff. Like, how dare you get pregnant? And all that good stuff. I think they still go on the court and all that stuff on that. But anyways, similar situation up in Seattle. Drew Lloyd. I'm trying to pull it up. Let's see. I'm pulling it right now. Give me just a sec. But yeah, basically, misconduct going on in the front office. Drew Lloyd, after the league investigated, saying, hey, there's really no wrongdoings, and Drew Lloyd said, hey, I want to be traded. Case in point. Now she's going to the Aces, had their own issues like that. Kelsey Plum going to the Sparks. D-Locke, just quick thoughts on this. Your thoughts on this move for the between the whole scalp of the trade. Your thoughts on the trade, this big time trade in WNBA.
All right, so looking at this trade, like I said, I think that Kelsey Plum to the Sparks is a big move. And I think that's something that could help them big time. So I'm getting some assets, which is very interesting for us to know more about, and dwell lower to the Aces. I think that is not a bad move as well. I think the winner out of this is the Sparks in my eyes. And for me, one thing we've seen a lot from the Aces is, I'm sorry, not the Aces, the Sparks, is they've always tried to make a move to be better. right? We've seen it for years and years and years of the Sparks. They're always finding a way to make that big move, to add that piece. So I think going to get Plum is a big deal. Um, I really want to see what the Storm gets out of this. I'm saying, like, I want to see what the biggest piece that they get out of it. But I definitely like what happens with Kelsey Plum headed to the Sparks.
All right, so that's this is just the framework of the trade, ladies and gentlemen. There's more draft picks traded around, all that stuff, but this is the crux of it. Kelsey Plum to the Sparks, Drew Lloyd to the Aces, and the Storm mainly getting the second overall pick in the 2025 draft. So Paige Bucher's probably going number 1 overall. The number 2 pick up in the air right now. But I think just real quick for me and how I look at this, Kelsey Plum going to the Sparks, big time. And I say this like scoring wise. At time when watching some of the Sparks games, D-Locke, they couldn't score for nothing. And I think with some of the young girls the young ladies on the team, especially they drafted last year, I think the scoring load will be off for them. You had so much pressure to score for them. Cameron Brink coming back for an injury. You don't have to worry about, trying to throw her in the mix, trying to like score and all that stuff. And now you got somebody who would average 20 points a game could take that load off for them.
Mm-hmm.
And be that great asset to them and all that stuff. So I think that I like that move for the Sparks. For Drew Lloyd going to the Aces, we'll see how it goes. If she didn't like the situation in Seattle, hopefully the Aces and them, Becky Hammond, they kind of changed their tune and stuff. But if they haven't, then you giving up a rock of your team that helped you build championships and stuff like that in Las Vegas. So I hope it works out, for Drew Lloyd in Las Vegas. But if it's not, I'm not saying the Ace is going to fall back or anything, but they kind of struggled this year, D-Locke.
Yeah,
they weren't here to start off here. They were kind of down. I don't want to say down here, but they kind of got here and they kind of stayed right here for a little bit. And they didn't make the WNBA finals again.
Yeah, I think that's what we know with like I said, even with the Aces and historically with the Sparks, we know that the Sparks are known historically to get to the WNBA finals, right? The history of the players that they've had. So to make these moves, that second overall pick for the Storm, I think that's going to play a big part. But Jewel Lloyd to the Aces is going to be very, very interesting to see how it play out. But again, like I said, I think Plum to the Sparks is a big move. Let's see what the Storm do with that second overall pick. But this is a major move in the WNBA and something that needs to be talked about, especially when the season comes around.
And also, I think the Sparks get the 9th pick. So, continue this reading. The Sparks get the 9th pick from Seattle, I believe. So, they just dropped 7 spots down, but they, like I said, they give up the second overall pick. But, just finish up the remaining look at the trade. And also, looking at the Sparks, with Plum, Rika, Cam, and Hamby in the fold, not a bad group right there. But like I said, breaking news, Plum to the Sparks, Drew Lloyd to the Aces. The Storm getting the second overall pick in the 2020 WNBA draft. So, very interesting with the WNBA expanded D-Locke. Got one of your stars going to LA, another one going to the Aces, and then your league expanded. So, great job getting news right now in championship weekend of the NFL right now. But before we go to break, we'll finish up. Any last thoughts on Jimmy Butler real quick before we go to break?
I mean, again, I think it's going to be very interesting to see what happens. I mean, this is just a story that we continue hearing about. Clearly, we know that Jimmy Butler wants to leave. Suspending him and then playing, I mean, what are you getting out of that? So I think that it's best for them to go ahead and, again, move on, get it situated and move on. Because right now, clearly, he's not, he doesn't want to be there. So I think for this team to move on to be a better team and do the things that they need their approach to do, I think it's time for them to go ahead and look for that, that trade that best fits them. And also, I think, like I said, with this young team, they could possibly be slightly rebuilding, but it's time to go ahead and pack up those things and make that trade.
So I hope it gets resolved. And we still got like another week or so to go. So I hope it gets resolved. He can't continue doing and just get suspended and lose money, all that stuff. So I hope they just kind of tie this up and just kind of just be done with it. And Pat Riley got to kind of like swallow his pride and kind of just find the best deal for the team. If you're still trying to be in contention, try to find the best deal for your team. If not, it's not a good look for Jimmy, and also not a good look for you beating Patty and kind of hang on to things. Because right now, you're sitting at the A spot, and you can still go up or you go down. But it's up to y'all how y'all want to handle things. That's my opinion. But D-Lock, we'll take a quick break real quick, folks. On the other side of things, we'll talk about the NBA week that is. And also, the Cavs on a losing streak. Can they bounce back against Detroit on Monday? Plus, Orlando Magic talk as well. But this is Fast Break Live for Sports Radio. You're ready for all sports, and we'll catch you on the other side.
What's up, everybody? This is Darren Rodriguez. Are you a fan of volleyball? Are you a fan of Thunder Spikes? Then I have the show for you, Set Point, where I cover NCAA men's and women's volleyball, high school boys and girls volleyball, beach volleyball, and even professional volleyball. Catch the action every week here on IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports.
Hockey fans, I'm Adam Kernick.
And I'm Zach Puplis.
Together, we are the newest version of Hockey Talk on IE Sports Radio, The Neutral Zone.
Zone.
We love hockey, but we also know it's not everyone's first sport. So we want to make this show as much for new fans as for the diehards.
Whether you can name all the Swedes on the 08 Red Wings Stanley Cup team, or if you can't tell if Varlamov is a goalie or the latest trendy vodka, we're here to help. With facts, figures, and outrageous fans, we bring you all the hard-hitting hockey news you can handle, while still keeping it fun and on the rails. Well, mostly.
So tune in every week as we go around the hockey world, from college to Canada, the minors and the majors, and everywhere in between.
So bring your cellies.
And your one-timers.
You wicked wristas.
And be sure to protect your five-hole.
Catch the Neutral Zone every week on IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports.
We promise not to pick on the Arizona Coyotes every episode.
And we're back. Thank you for tuning in with us here on Fast Break here, live for IE Sports Radio. You're the read for always sports. D-Lock, talk about the week of that was. We'll start with the lone game tonight.
Mm-hmm.
The OKC Thunder beating the Portland Trailblazers 118-108. SGA, D-Locke, he's been on a tear. 35 points for him tonight. 5 rebounds, only 1 assist to lead the way for the Thunder. 24 points for Jalen Williams, 8 assists for him and 5 rebounds. Isaiah Hartenstein, 14 points and 11 rebounds for him. And then 16 points off the bench for Isaiah Joe. For the Portland side of things, D-Locke, Dean Avdija, 28 points for him, 8 rebounds, 8 assists, almost triple-double for him. Scoot Henderson, who's kind of very quietly
having a good season.
Watching Portland, kind of quietly, kind of finding himself in the league right now.
Yep. 25
points for him, 5 rebounds, shot the ball very well. So Scoot Henderson kind of coming along, had a very rough rookie season, coming along now. 24 points for Kamara as well, 14 for Simons. Let me talk about SGA real quick. And I don't know, would you agree with this or not about SGA? I got him on the top of my MVP race. Just because, success and all that stuff, with the Thunder. Where do you have him in your MVP race? Because you got Jokic, who's been playing very well all year. You could throw in, maybe Donovan Mitchell, but he's played kind of went down for the past month in a sense.
Right.
Tatum, Brown, up in Boston, always in conversation. John Morant is somebody you can probably throw in as well in that talk. It sucks that Luka went out when the time he did. Now he's ineligible for any type of reward. But your opinion, is SGA the top leader in the MVP race, or do you got somebody else in mind?
Well, for me, I think that SGA is at the top of the list, right? And one reason why is because one, he's doing it. Team is 37-8. Chet Holmgren has been out for a long time. Isaiah Hartenstein has been on and off as far as games. He's missed a few games. Jalen Williams is playing pretty decent. But he's doing a lot for these guys, man. I mean, I think, Jalen Williams, 24 points. Hartenstein, 14. Everybody else. Aaron Wiggins, 4 points. Carson Wallace, 5 points. Jalen Williams off the bench with the Y, 6 points. Yang, 5 points. 6 points by Kenrich Williams. Caruso, 3 points. Isaiah Joe, 16. He's doing the bulk of the work for this team. And he's doing everything. I always say, every time we talk about SGA, I always say that the Clippers got to be kicking themselves because of the move, what he could have been for them. So, I mean, yes, Jason Tatum is playing outstanding. Yes, Donovan Mitchell is playing pretty decent as well. Yes, Jokic is being Jokic. But I think it's, like I said, I think you do have Jokic up there. But what is making it more consistent with Jokic, these other players that I'm not going to put number one is the cast that they have around them. Jokic, we talked about how great Russell Westbrook is playing right now with the Denver Nuggets. The thing that he's doing there with him and Jamal Murray. Jason Tatum, with the crew that he has, we know, he has a lot of good pieces over there. We've seen as the winning NBA championship last year. Donovan Mitchell, who you say he dropped off a little bit, he has, but look at the pieces that he has as well. Darius Garland, who had a hell of a game, I believe, a couple of days ago. Was it yesterday, I think? Jared Allen, Evan Mobley, Karis LeVert comes in there. So they have a good group a good cast around them to where, I'm looking at SGA. Chet Holmgren is out. Jalen Williams is the other person that is being consistently playing well. And outside of that, they're more likely scoring less than 10 points. So, more of it is on the shoulders of SGA. Ja Morant also could be in there, but you look at the fact that he does have Desmond Bain, Jaren Jackson, who can be consistent. You talked about Zach Edey stepping into his own as well. So, I think SGA is at the top. I mean, like you said, Luka's going out. You could obviously Giannis is playing great, but now I think his name in the talk has kind of faded a little bit when you add in another MVP candidate and Dame on his team. So right now, SJ looks like he's the guy. I mean, like I said, I think between him and Jokic, I think it's going to be a battle between those two. Clearly being 37 and 8 and putting up these type of numbers is going to be very hard to knock him off that throne so far. Because right now, like I said, man, I mean, and the reason why is because he's the only guy, he's the main guy on this team. So teams are game planning against him, and he's still putting up ridiculous numbers. So for me, I'm kind of with you on this, man. I think, like I said, Jokic is close by clearly. The rest of these other Donovan Mitchell, the Jason Tatums, their cast is they have so much on that team. It's very hard to put them above him.
I got him at the top of my list right now, but damn, Jokic is kind of making it hard right now. And the way that Nuggets been playing stuff like that, I know the OKC lost to Dallas the other day, but he still put 31 points up against Dallas in the loss. And Spencer Dinwiddie had a throwback game with 28 points against that in that matchup as well, which we did that with the Lakers. But anyways, for me, I think his scoring, scoring ease, his size, his mentality, you see the growth and stuff like that. And like you mentioned about the Clippers, you kind of make yourself wonder. Like I know you had to give up some young pieces to make the Paul George trade happen, but damn, I probably look back at the framework of the trade and stuff like that and the roster at the time, but y'all couldn't do something better, And you kind of look at the Clippers now, D-Lock. They trade all this first round picks and stuff like that. Get ready those young assets now. What you got to show for it? One Western Conference appearance with those guys, and Kawhi Leonard didn't even play in that Western Conference Finals. And now Paul George he's on the East Coast with Philly, kind of struggling there. Meanwhile, SGA, he gets to OKC. You kind of know what the situation is, and he took that challenge and look out, and along with Sam Presti and crew, and they built that team up with him leading the charge, being one of the better scorers now in the NBA, maybe in the world, if you really think about it. And now you kind of look at this team now, the continuity, the togetherness with the squad. How can he make things easy for everybody? Jalen Williams, and put it on a side note, Jalen Williams should be an all-star reserve when those gets announced this week.
Oh, yeah.
He should. He better be. Because I can't think of two other guys should be ahead of him. But he should be all-star reserve. But I had to get that to my system. But back to SGA in the top of the MVP race. I think he should be the top there. Knocking on wood, he stays healthy throughout this process and to get that achievement because he's well deserved. And to see, the way, this incarnation at OKC being brought up like this is a beautiful sight to see. When this team moved to OKC, you had Durant and Westbrook and then eventually James Harden in the fold, and you see all that growth that we saw there. Now, after that got tore down, broke it down, you have Westbrook by himself for a little bit. And then after that period, you just kind of back in the dark again. And now you're like one of the premier teams in the NBA. And you got togetherness there like you had in the past. He's my top go-getter. He's my top vote. He got my vote.
Mm-hmm.
If I had to vote, he'll be there.
Yeah. Again, I think, we're talking about somebody that's done so much for this team. Now the question is, how far does this team go in the playoffs? Right.
That's a big question.
Now obviously we got to see when Chet does come back. We've seen his team have high expectations, and I believe he is definitely leading the MVP race. Now we did talk about Jimmy Butler. Could this be somewhere that considers Jimmy Butler? Do you think about bringing him in?
Too much money.
Yeah, I mean, you got a lot of money into it, and this is another team that is a young team that could use some veteran presence. But when you have an MVP candidate leading your team, you want him to, end the season obviously in the NBA Finals, and the expectations that they do have. So I definitely think he's up there. Obviously, Jokic is being Jokic. He's clearly showing that he should be in consideration. Obviously, we've seen Joel Embiid win before, but as many games as he missed, he's definitely out of it. But again, I think it does go down to between these two teams to see what happens, and but these two players and see who gets that nod to get that final vote.
Before we go talk about the rest of the week that was, if you had a top three, who's your top three right now of as of January 26th?
I mean, obviously I had SGA, Jokic, and my third right now, probably would say Jason Tatum.
Yeah.
I think how he's playing, he clearly, obviously they have the pieces that they have, but this team goes as Jason Tatum goes, and it shows it. So I think that, Jason Tatum is playing a huge part in what the Boston Celtics do, how they can win. But the pieces that they have, I think, put him at 3 for me, because they have a Porzingis, Jaylen Brown, Drew Holiday, Derek White, all these guys, and they're a hell of a group. They're gonna, they're gonna be obviously very hard to beat in the Eastern Conference Finals, let alone if they get in the NBA Finals. So I definitely got Tatum at 3, Jokic at 2, SGA at the leaderboard.
Yeah, I'm with you right there. John Morant is outside for me at top 4. I kind of wish he didn't miss so many games right now, but Karl-Anthony Towns.
Very good one.
Karl-Anthony Towns is another one. Like, damn. I mean, we'll see how the rest of the season play out, but Karl-Anthony Towns is another one. Like, damn, dude. If you stay healthy, I mean, for the rest of the way through, and you build it and get the Knicks up a little bit, I don't know. You may get few votes there. I don't think you win outright, but I think if Karl-Anthony Towns, the way he's been playing this year, all that good stuff, I think he can maybe get in the talk. Now, I don't think he'll win the way OKC's been playing, stuff like that, but he's another one right there I could kind of consider. So if I do my top 3, I'm going to say both of you, SGA, Jokic, and Jason Tatum. Because Jason Tatum's trying to prove something right to everybody about after the Olympics. Jokic, SGA looking like probably one of the best players, one of the top 3 players in the NBA. We're going to be real about that.
Yeah. Oh, yes. It's like I think it's going to make the playoffs a hell of a lot more interesting as well. We talk so much about how Cleveland has been looking. Boston has been Boston, right? Talk about how OKC has been playing. Denver Nuggets have been playing pretty good as well. And like I said, looking at Memphis, they've been playing sneaky good also. So It's going to be very interesting to see how this play out and what comes out of this. So not to rush to the playoffs. I don't want the season to end just yet, but I'm definitely excited for it.
Going back to scores over this past week, we had the Lakers and Celtics matchup with the Lakers winning pretty handily, 117-96. Just watching that game early on, I thought Boston would kind of take advantage of the size inside, especially with Porzingis, and he got the switches. I don't know if you watched the game or not, but He got switches. He got Max Christie on him a lot. And you figured, they'll take more advantage of that. But I give credit to the Lakers and JJ Redick and stuff like that. They kind of made it a point not to let the Celtics beat them outside. Boston is like one of the better three-point shooting teams in the league, and they really kind of put that on chill for the most part. And Boston only shot like 14-41 for three. That's really abysmal, but credit to the Lakers, not letting them try and get hot outside and all that stuff. And all that. And Anthony Davis, 24 points for him, 8 rebounds. Austin Reeves, 23 points. LeBron, 2014. Gabe Vincent off the bench, 12 points in that matchup as well. Let me ask you this, and go back to the trade deadline. Anthony Davis did an interview with Shams not too long ago, D-Locke, and they played before the Warriors game this past Saturday. And one of the contending things that we need another big. We need another big. Do the Lakers need another big in your eyes with the way the roster is right now after getting Jared Vanderbilt back in the fold?
You know what? I'll go double check. I'm gonna look at this depth chart again because this is the same Anthony Davis that didn't want to be at the 5 position at one point, and all of a sudden
he's on his house.
Yeah. To be honest with you, man, looking at Jackson Hayes, Christian Coloco's not getting any minutes like that. No. Jackson Hayes, he's not filling that role as I would think. I kind of have to agree with him a little bit. One reason why I would is because not for him to play the 5, but you get somebody else in that can help with the rotation of those guys. Jackson Hayes isn't doing it. Jared Vanderbilt is just coming back, and he's not a center at all. So he's not really, what is he, 6'8"? But he's good for small ball. 6'7", 6'8". So he's not, like I said, I don't think he's that guy. I think, when Anthony Davis is talking about another big, I think he did take the comparison of Dwight Howard being there. So you could have somebody there with that, but again, who do they go after? I mean, are you going to trade for Bobby Portis, Brook Lopez, Chris Boucher? Like, where are we talking about getting another big? I mean, like I said, you got Jackson Hayes, and this is what you're getting out of him. So for me, and I think if you got another big, Anthony Davis is not playing a 5. They're going to move him to the 4. So I kind of agree, but my question is, after agreeing, what do they do? Like, you make that move, you say you're saying, okay, this is what we need, this is what we need to get. What do they do? Who do they approach?
I'm trying to think around the league. They've been in the name for Jonas Valanciunas out in Washington. Washington, they're worst team in the league. They only got six wins as this broadcast is going on right now. 6 wins. 6 wins for the Washington Wizards. Like I told Mike Pat a couple weeks ago, D-Lock, as long as they're in the top 3 to get Cooper Flagg, Dylan Harper, and the Bailey kid, all good. But they've been rooting for him. Other than that, I don't know who else. I mean, who else is there available?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, you maybe got the big man from Toronto, Jacob Patel. I pronounce his name. He may be in the mix. I don't know what's going on with old boy in Phoenix. What's his name? What's his name? What's his name? The big Jusuf Nurkic.
Oh yeah. I don't know what he got going on.
And him and Budenholzer got no relationship at all. From what I read earlier today while I was at work, him and Budenholzer got no relationship at all. They ain't talking 2 months. So they be in the mix of the Jimmy Butler trade rumors and stuff like that. What are they gonna do with him at the trade deadline? I know he still got some time in his contract. So that's another guy you can possibly look at as well. In Portland, what they start considering some guys. Robert Williams is a guy that comes to mind. Lakers may also be talking to Walker Kessler of the Jazz. So it kind of depends what they give up. There's always been talks like they don't want to give up the first round picks and all that stuff, and that's fine. I understand that. We're talking about 2020, 30, 2030, and 31, stuff like that. Hey, by that time, LeBron probably retired.
Yeah.
Anthony Davis, high 30s right there. And at that point, you probably think about your future right there. Why want to give up future first round picks to damn Danny Ainge, who's not gonna do nothing with them, and give Utah assets down the line for them? Why do that? Same thing with Phoenix. Same team within my division. Why give them first round picks for a guy you barely been playing for the past couple months? So, in a sense, yeah, maybe the Lakers do need a big, but also, Anthony Davis fits better at the 5. Let's be real about that. He's on the Al Horford kick. If some of y'all don't know, Al Horford been since his time in Atlanta that he don't like being a 5-man, and he sung that into him for many years. And was Al Horford's best fit being the 5?
Yeah.
And kind of screwed himself, and possibly Boston had a championship earlier if he didn't leave for Philly for that 4-year deal. So I think Anthony Davis is more suited for the 5. I understand he wants to play the 4, and he feels more comfortable there, whatever. But, Dwight Howard's not walking through that door.
Nah. You don't want him to either.
DeMarcus Cousins not walking through that door. I don't know if JaVale McGee's in the roster. He's not walking through that door. So, a guy like Mark Richards, who got traded not too long ago to Phoenix, and Phoenix didn't give up too much. I thought maybe that'd been a good deal there, but that didn't happen. So I don't know what they're gonna do. But
I mean, I think that him saying that, you're going to have to make that big move to go grab somebody. But like I said, who do you go grab? Do you go look for Andre Drummond? Like I said, I mentioned Brook Lopez. I mentioned Bobby Portis. Both sure. What are you looking for? And I think this move that you do make, if you possibly do go grab a big, you're more likely going to move LeBron to the 3. So how does it affect that rotation that you have, that starting lineup that you're going to put out there? So, like I said, I'm not disagreeing with that, but who do you go after? You damn sure ain't going to go get more Bumble. You already tried that. So
you better play him.
Yeah. So like I said, I understand what he's asking, what he wants, and agree. But who?
Yeah. And we'll see, if the Lakers make a move or anything like that. They said they will make another move, but it'll be like a real minor one. So we'll see what happens there. They already traded like the biggest contract, expiring contract in D'Angelo Russell for the Dorian Finney-Smith trade. So, just look around that roster, Austin Reeves, Gabe Vincent, Max Christie, guys with some contract back size could be on the move if they do something. We'll see. But before going to last break, D-Lock, Brandon Miller out for the year with the on a wrist operation.
Mm-hmm.
Real quick for you, is he kind of like on that same path that Kate Cunningham is on? Because Kate Cunningham's like had injuries and stuff like that early in his career, and then next you know, boom, he blossomed to a nice, fine player. Can Brandon Miller kind of show that as well, or is he like this injury prone in your eyes?
I honestly think I don't think he's going to go through that same path that Kate Cunningham went through. I think he did have a hell of a start through the season earlier. He was playing extremely well, and we know what Brandon Miller could be. Now he does have to take care of himself. I think the biggest thing that play a part that I think a lot of people are overlooking is the fact that players in Charlotte get hurt.
Yeah. So
this is something that I don't think is necessarily the player, but I think it may be also the organization. What is to deal with that? So for me, I think he's going to go through this out for the season. How does he bounce back from it? But what do Charlotte do? Remember, LaMelo was out for a long period of time as well, and has been out a few times. So how do they go out? I believe Mark Williams has just recently been out as well, the center. So I think he'll be fine. I think right now what we've seen so far of him, he's showing glimpses of him being that great player. But being healthy is the key. I don't think it's him. I think it's, like I said, the organization got to make sure they do their part as well, take care of their guys.
I think the Hornets were a team that I was like, okay, new coach. Okay, you didn't bring in retrading like that. Okay, LaMelo coming back, Brandon Miller, second year in. Okay, maybe they can do some things. But from the jump, like Miller missed some time early in the season. LaMelo missed some time as well. And then now this team going against the Lakers tomorrow find themselves in the hole again. So I hope, I say as a Bama fan and stuff like that, and a guy that kind of like really rooted for him to do well, I hope he bounced back from these injuries. A lot of injuries he's been pounding up since he entered the league. So hopefully he bounces back, stay strong, and come out next year ready to go. I mentioned Kate Cunningham just because, same path in a sense, like all these injuries and promise and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
You kind of wanted to use injury prone. So a lot of us thought about that with Steph Curry, the ankle injuries until he got himself better and stuff like that. And look where he at now, future Hall of Famer. So hopefully things shake out well for Brandon Miller. Wish him the best. And, just come back strong next year. But D-Lock, after this next break, we'll talk a little bit college hoops, and then we'll get out here on championship weekend. But this is Fast Pick here live for High Sports Radio, your read for all sports. And we'll catch you on the other side.
Hey, Cleveland and Columbus sports fans. This is Jen D, host of the Show of the Land on IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports. If you love Cleveland and Columbus sports like I do, be sure to tune in live to the Show of the Land on Tuesdays, where we will cover the Cleveland Browns, Cavs, Guardians, and Monsters. We will also talk about the Columbus Blue Jackets, Crew, Fury, and of course, the Ohio State Buckeyes. We'll also cover other colleges in the area like Akron, Kent State, Cleveland State, Mount Union, John Carroll, Baldwin Wallace, Youngstown State, among others. So like I said, if you love Cleveland and Columbus sports like I do, be sure to tune in Tuesdays to the Show of the Land with Jen B on IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports.
Hey sports fans, are you in the market for Florida sports or just keeping up with the latest in the Panhandle? Palm Tree Sports is a dedicated audio hub to all things sports in the Sunshine State. We cover current events, big news, heavily favored opinions all across the NFL, NBA, MLB, and so much more. So come check us out every Saturday evening at 6 p.m. Eastern Standard Time for a down south education on Florida sports and athletics. It's hosted by yours truly, Corey Pujols, and is powered by IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports.
And welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, for Fast Break here, live for IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all sports. To round out the show, D-Locke, got my set up here right quick. Talk about some college hoops real quick. On the mid side of things, a big slate and a lot of upsets happened yesterday. You know, you had Xavier beating Connecticut 72-76. You had Kansas State beating West Virginia 73-60 in Manhattan. Then you had Minnesota, who's been kind of in the toilet in the Big Ten for a while. They get the upset win over Oregon at home, 77-69 there. Vanderbilt at first beating Tennessee, now beating Kentucky.
That's a big
They
one.
win 74-69 at home in Nashville. And then Texas, we talked about them like a couple weeks ago. They beat arch rival Texas A&M 70-69 with Trey Johnson having a career night there, 30 points for him to lead away from the Longhorns to, well, I don't say upset A&M, but to get a big win there. D-Locke, and you had the big time matchups, excuse me, real quick. Auburn skating White Bay by Tennessee. Alabama.
Very close game.
Yeah, very good game. Alabama hanging on against LSU 80-73 with Mark Sears kind of sitting that second half, you know, not playing at all. And he got and his mama on Facebook, you know, trying to say, you know, my baby shouldn't have been out there. But, you know, I'll see you that after the show, what she been saying. Houston beats Kansas 92-86 in 2 OTs, in which Kansas went 17-30 from the free throw line and had the lead late in the game as well. So I had to point that up as well. Your Florida Gators, D-Locke, 89-59, whoop Georgia's ass at home. That was a big-time win for them.
Very big.
Big time. And then Michigan State beat Rutgers 81-74 for the Spartans. Dylan Harper, they had him in the starting lineup, and then they didn't. They took him out. You know, he had like an ankle issue going on. He only played like 14 minutes and had like 6 points. But that was just kind of weird. You know, they took him out of the starting lineup last minute there. But they lose to Michigan State. Jordan Diedrich, 26 points for him in the loss against the Spartans. D-Locke, your thoughts on the landscape of college basketball right now as we kind of getting that last weekend of January here?
I think one thing that I really like about college basketball now, obviously, is now I'm a big SEC guy, obviously being, you know, going to school there for a couple of years. I think it's really big the fact that you know, you have your ACC teams are going to be good. Duke, North Carolina. Other teams like Kansas is always going to be good. Houston's going to be good. Michigan State is always going to be that team that's going to be good. But now you have a lot of these SEC teams showing, you know, like we talked about before, how big this conference is. This conference is good everywhere. You have upsets we talked about that is happening. But to see A&M, Mississippi State, Ole Miss, Missouri, obviously Florida, Tennessee, Auburn, all these teams ranked top 25 shows you, you know, how tough, the SEC is and what college basketball is bringing to us. I think another thing that is big to me also is knowing that we have all these SEC teams. There's always those Cinderella teams, right? That come in that can shock a lot, and that's what we love about March Madness. We see the teams that can do a lot of damage, and we talk about the big schools. Like I said, we know the history of Duke, North Carolina, Tennessee having a team, both men and women's, LSU from time to time. But to see that and then have your Cinderella teams come around and make a big difference, I think that plays a huge part. And I'm very appreciative of that, because when the tournament does come around, Mark is going to be here. We want to see the best of the best, and when you see conferences like the ACC, like the SEC, the Big Ten also, with the teams that they have, show that they have half their teams being very good in the conference, top 25. You bring in some of these unranked teams, they're playing as the underdog. You want to shock a lot of people. And the good thing about the tournament is this is one and done. We love the NBA Finals. We love, a lot of baseball fans love World Series where you have a 7-game series and it's the best 4 out of 7. But we love that one and done. Listen, you got to get it done this game. It's about who shows up this day. You got to show up this day. And that's why we love the tournament. So again, I'm definitely appreciative of that. And I think we're in, as sports fans, for those that do watch, those that love the NBA, you guys that don't watch too much college basketball, I think you should tap into that as well. It's as interesting as the NBA, especially when the tournament comes around. So I'm definitely excited to see how this college basketball season continues to go and the things that it brings to the table.
I look at the SEC standings right now. Auburn still undefeated after beating Tennessee this past Saturday. Alabama 6-1, right behind them. Then Florida, they're 5-2 right now, and Missouri 5-2 as well. So you got those top 4 right there, and those in the big conferences between like the Big Ten and the SEC. If you're in that top 4 and then get that extended bye going to tournament weekend come March, that's a blessing right there. To get that rest, let everybody else beat up on each other, and then come like later on the week they see y'all. That's a blessing right there. And I think just the importance of kind of winning and stay ahead. Tennessee is a very solid team. Mm-hmm. They're 4-3 in conference play right now. What if you're like an Alabama, Auburn, or Mizzou, or Florida, and Tennessee had to go to wear and tear and stuff like that for a couple games, and then they come see y'all later in the week on the weekend? That's a great advantage to have. Vanderbilt, shout out Vanderbilt. Got shout that out.
Mm-hmm.
Granted, they lost against Alabama on the 21st, but come back and beat Kentucky. The previous Saturday, beat Tennessee by 1. So, Vanderbilt, getting some moxie. They're 16-4, kind of, really playing very well, post Jerry Stackhouse time there. So this conference is going to be tough in my eyes. Kentucky 3-3 in conference play. And we know how, Kentucky and their standards are there. And then you kind of look in the opposite of the side, D-Log in the Big Ten. Michigan State 8-0. Purdue 8-2. Michigan 6-2.
Mm-hmm.
Wisconsin 6-3. Those are your top 4 right now in the Big Ten. And, behind them, Maryland, Illinois, Oregon, UCLA, Indiana, USC. So it's a tough fight all the way through between those two conferences. And, how things going to shake out, we don't know. But just to stay in the top 4 and be consistent in the top 4, I think that's the main thing in my humble opinion. I think if you can stay in the top 4, and especially those big 2 conferences there, will go a long way how you finish in the conference tournament and your seeding goes in the NCAA tournament. Michigan stays very quiet right now. A very quiet, 17-2 team right now. If we're going to be real about it.
Right.
I don't say expect much from Michigan State, but they've one of those Tom Izzo years that they didn't come in a lot of fanfare, but now you can kind of look up the season going on like, damn, they number 8 in the country right now. Let me see who they got. And look right now, they undefeated in conference play, playing tough basketball, in my humble opinion. But at least I had the last word.
I mean, I think that's the biggest thing. Like I said, we love about college basketball is you do get to see these SEC versus Big Ten, SEC versus ACC matchups. And we see them in the tournament. So that's the big thing for me. And when you see those, because we've heard multiple conferences say which conference is better. Oh, my conference is better than your conference is X, Y, Z. We always hear that. Now I know in my sport of track and field, we see those matchups all the time, right? We just came from recently. We were actually at Virginia Tech, and we're matching up against Penn State. We're matching up against Virginia, who's in our conference. George Mason's there, Georgetown. These different teams in different conferences. You're getting your different conference matches. It doesn't happen often in different sports, but it does in basketball when we do get the tournament, and sometimes early in the season. So for me, I definitely like. That's what makes college basketball very much exciting, because you get these. Damn, it's really Oklahoma versus UCLA. Kansas versus Florida. You see those type of matchups and what it can do. So I'm anxious to see how this season kind of plays out. I'm glad my Florida Gators is back up top. I remember back when we had Al Horford. We beat Ohio State in the championship. I think that was years back, but to be back competitive and part of the SEC that has the Tennessee Vols playing well, Auburn, Alabama, who we know is going to bring some heat as well. Ole Miss sneaky, bringing sneaky good also to add in Missouri. So it makes like I said, college basketball very, very interesting and very, very good to watch.
Yeah, it's very good to watch. Memphis, they won today as well. And I always say when Memphis wins, people don't talk about Penny. When he loses, they got all the smoke for Penny. I always going to say that when Memphis wins. Anyways, on the flip side of things, on the ladies side of things, I think the main tilt, you had South Carolina on Friday beating LSU 56-66, giving LSU their first loss of the year. And granted, LSU was ranked lower than South Carolina, but, hey, what is what it is. For LSU, Anisha Morrow, 15 points, 16 rebounds for her. Flu J. Johnson, 13 points for her in that effort, 4 turnovers and 4 fouls in that matchup as well. For South Carolina, a big-time win in conference play, 12 points for Fegan and 14 off the bench for Joyce Edwards in that matchup as well. D-Locke, how do you look at this matchup here? I know I won't say it's a one-off, but could these two lady teams see each other again in the SEC championship and also maybe the NCAA championship, depending on how seeding goes?
We talk about LSU, correct?
Yeah, LSU and South Carolina women's.
You know what? I think it's very much possible. I mean, I think that, we know what South Carolina brings. And LSU is playing outstandingly great. Don't sleep on Texas, right? Texas does have a hell of a team.
Yeah.
And they're bringing a lot of noise. Obviously, we do talk about LSU and South Carolina, what they can do, but definitely don't sleep on Texas kind of mixing that up. So for me, LSU and South Carolina has their rivalry, and it continues to be one. But there's a good chance that we could possibly see them again, because that's the matchup that everybody would like to see. And we know the roster. I believe I was talking to one of my coaches, co-workers, and she was telling me that South Carolina coach, I believe the coach, she was saying that she has like their whole roster, then they're 5-star. And I'm like, well, yeah, that's how it works, right? Out of your about 12 to 15 young ladies, 10 or 11 or 12 are 5-stars, right? And that means that your rotation is great. I mean, at that point, you're taking your star point guard off, you're bringing somebody else in, and the production doesn't change.
Yeah.
Which is a huge, huge thing, especially when it comes to basketball. We've seen UConn do that so many times. For years, we've seen UConn women like that. Now South Carolina's doing that. So for me, I think it's a good chance that we could see South Carolina LSU again, but don't sleep on Texas.
Yeah, I think for me, and looking at the standings right now, let's look at the SEC right now. I don't think we got too much time left, but South Carolina 7-0, LSU of course 6-1 after the loss on Saturday. Texas 4-1, Kentucky. How far y'all don't know this? They got a new coach there as well. They're 6-1. Hired what's his name from Virginia Tech? Oh, what's his name? I'll look it up in a second. Alabama, who lost to Vanderbilt just today, and both of those teams are tied 4-3 in the conference right now. Newbie also in the conference. Oklahoma, they're 4-3 as well. Tennessee, they're 3-4 in conference play. Their coach recently had a baby as well. Congratulations to her and her family. But right now, they're 3-4 right now. And they got South Carolina coming up tomorrow. So the coach is with the newborn, and you got the number 2 team in the country coming home to you. So they had bad losses against Vanderbilt as well. They lost to Texas as well in a close game. So, they're standing the barrel of going 0-3 in this stretch with coach out right now with the newborn. And then at the bottom of SEC, Mizzou, Arkansas, Georgia, Auburn, and Florida are just kind of like the dregs right there. Mississippi State, I can't put them there because they've always been consistent and good, stuff like that. So I can't put them there. But for the other schools down there, trash, in my humble opinion. But South Carolina, it's gonna be really come tournament time. Like South Carolina, LSU, Texas, and Kentucky. And I kind of wonder how many teams make it out of SEC in the women's side of things, because if you do the cutoff at Tennessee right there and looking at the standings, you got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 teams right there. Mississippi State, like a 4-out first in type of look right there. So you're talking about potentially 10 teams right there. And I think, you kind of talked off air about this. I think that's like what these bigger conferences want. More teams in their conference making in the tournament regardless. And the SEC can squeeze out 10 teams. Hey, beautiful. Big 10, same thing, 10, beautiful. More chances for us to make it to the Final Four, Elite 8, and championship games. But I'll let you have last word on this.
Like I said, I think when you have these competition between these conferences, it plays a huge part. And the tournament is where we see the best of the best with a few, I guess, teams that are not Power 5 schools. They come in and now they're there to wreck up shop. The ones that could be ranked 16th or 15th, they come in at the bottom of that tournament on that side of the tournament. They can go out there and steal a win. So for me, we love seeing the team conferences beat up each other, right? Because we want to see who's the best, who's at the bottom, and who's at the top. But when you do have a full conference that literally from top to bottom is literally at the top in the rankings, they're gonna play against each other multiple times, right? not only through the conference schedule, conference tournament, but also through the NCAA tournament that matchup. So it comes full circle, right? And this is how we see these same matchups back to back. Seeing South Carolina and LSU, we could see that 3 times in a season. So again, like I said, for me, and I think it lets you know how important it is when it comes to the things we talk about, like the NCAA transfer portal, because these were kids, see, okay, well, hey, this conference is doing hella great, and this is where the numbers are showing us where all the talent is. A lot of kids transfer into those conferences. So to me, I think it's very interesting, and it makes basketball fun in general. But also now, you see why we see this kid has transferred from this school to an SEC school, or from SEC to ACC school.
So we'll see how things shake out in the SEC, the Big Ten. Of course, you got UCLA, USC, top of the rankings there. Ohio State right behind them as well. So the Big Ten, very interesting as well, and on that side of things. So we'll see how things check out there. We'll probably talk about more them next week on next week's show. But I do want to get to this before we get out of here, D-Locke. The death of Kobe Bryant, 5 years later.
Oof.
For the year 2025, Kobe Bryant, as we all know, him and others were in a helicopter crash out in California as they were going to his academy to do practice and whatnot with his daughter's team. It was very, very foggy out in LA that day, and the helicopter crash happened. Me and you were doing a different type of show here for High Sports Radio, and we kind of bumped it up. Like before this came out, we bumped it up because I was going to watch wrestling later on that night and got close as our time frame. So, Larry was cool with it, and then next thing you know, bam, that happened.
Yeah,
and I was like. And we kind of just, flipped our show that day. And now, you kind of look at it, D-Locke, like it's surreal what was happening, but now you kind of look 5 years in. Look what happened. Trump was in office. Now he's back in. That's crazy.
Yeah.
You had the pandemic happen. The championship bubble for the NBA. The protests and stuff like that after George Floyd died or got killed, however you want to phrase it. So just a lot of things happen. Kobe Bryant 5 years later. Your thoughts 5 years later after Kobe's death and everybody else involved in the crash as well?
I think the biggest thing for me is 5 years just went by fast. It tells us how fast time goes by. Around that time, a lot of things, happen. Remember, that's the same time we talked about Rudy Gobert during the interview. That's when the COVID started to go down. I think that's when Shannon talked about it. I think around the Super Bowl. So there was a lot of stuff going on there, but it lets us know, be gracious on the days that we do have, right? I mean, he said we were doing different shows. We were, and we've been still doing our shows for a while still. So, yeah, man, I think, he still lives with us now, and we still talk about a lot of things that Kobe has done. But it just, the fact that it has been 5 years, time does fly, right? And it continues to, and we just got to be, like I said, appreciative of the time that we do have. And although he has passed, we have so many memories. And I think that's the biggest thing that you do have is, you have the memories that we've seen over the years. The impact that he has made throughout our lives. So, again, 5 years has went by, and it just teaches us to be more grateful, or continue to be grateful for the days that we do have.
Yeah, it's 5 years later, and I had to put the hoodie on. Eric Kobe. I don't know if you can see it or not, but I had to put the hoodie on. Like, damn, 5 years later,
Mm-hmm.
and to look all of stuff that's happened. You like looking time frame of the show, like within 5 years. Just speaking as a Laker fan, won NBA championship, had some playoff appearances, but that's really it. You always kind of wondered, if he was still alive, like how the dynamic. We just talk about women's basketball here. How the dynamic of women's basketball would be with him, kind of being like a champion for it, along with his daughter. That's like something to really think about. It's kind of like a what if. With his influence and stuff like that. Her with his daughter. And depending where she would end up going to school at. What kind of influence would be there? Because we see, like, we talk about the boom and stuff like that, and Caitlin Clark, Angel Reese, Paige Bierkus, Cam, all those ladies, the Las Vegas Aces as well. Wherever would he have a big influence with that? Could that have been jump started sooner? So I think, like, it's like, damn, it's like you feel like he has so much left to give in the game of basketball. And he got taken out just like that. I hate that.
The impact, yeah.
The impact, yes. And all that stuff. And maybe what influence we have with the Lakers, when he gets out suggestions, stuff like that. We don't know. The mama mentality is out there. The influence is there. We see all the time. Jason Tatum. Julius Randle. I don't know if some of y'all know this, but when they were teammates, real quick, Julius Randle talked about this on the ESPN article I read some years back, and Kobe put him to the side, and this was like when they landed in Dallas, and Julius was from Texas, like you're gonna like see his family and stuff like that, and Kobe put him to the side, like, hey young man, we're gonna get to work, and Kobe already talked to somebody going to like a local high school and getting shots up and stuff like that early in the morning, and he dragged Julius along with him.
Mm-hmm.
And you kind of instill that work, that mindset and that work and stuff like that. And to the point, also in that article, like at the end of the article, Julius Randle, I forgot who he was with at the time. I think with the Pelicans. When they're in Detroit, talked to, somebody gets shots up at a local high school, and he kind of continued that mentality forward as well. So it sucks that he, he died how he did, but it sucks to lose an influence like that in the game of basketball. If you're just talking about stringing basketball, stuff like that, all the movies he made, Oscar winner as well, it sucks. The Colorado stuff, what happened. But, he bounced back from it. And all that good stuff. So, I'll let you have last word on it.
Yeah, I think the biggest thing for me is it teaches us to be grateful of the time that we do have. I think, I remember seeing Kobe, LeBron, and Kobe, dap it up at the Lakers game. So knowing that, it just lets us know that time does fly. We got to appreciate all the moments that we do have. And Kobe was a huge icon and continues to be. Like you said, he could have made more, continued to making an impact, which he still do. But like you said, it felt like there was a lot more left. But again, we know what Kobe has done and what he stood for. and definitely appreciate for all the memories that we have of him.
Yeah, it's tough, but I think, the spirit lives on. Out in LA, the murals and stuff like that is a beauty to behold. People keep the spirit alive even 5 years later. The spirit is still strong. Here, what Terry Rodriguez brought up as well, the spirit is still there. So I think that's the greatest thing that you can say. And also, shout out to his wife, Vanessa. She don't let nobody talk bad about him or daughter at all. And that's the great thing. Like, if to have a wife like that, to kind of keep your memory strong and don't let anything negative happen to you in the afterlife, speaks volumes to her effort as well. I got to squeeze that in there as well before we get out of here. But this been our show tonight, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you for tuning in with us here tonight. D-Locke, how can people find you on social media?
You guys can find me at Black-813, Twitter/X. I definitely be tweeting a little bit more about my magic. Doing a couple things, so let them know they can find you on the show's page.
You can find the show's page right here at Fast Break IESR. That's Fast Break IESR. Do get to follow there, like and follow on there. Also, on the scroll right here, for I Sports Radio on all your social media feeds, X, Instagram, Facebook, TikTok for however long that's going to be up, YouTube, and check out wherever you use your streaming platform, iHeart, Google, Amazon, whatever, to get your latest shows around the country. The Eagles going to the Super Bowl. The Chiefs and Bills fighting right now. We got shows for those markets there. Washington as well. Mike Pat probably talk about that here later on this week. So do check that out as well. Do check me on Twitter /X-Spawn4288. That's Spawn4288 as well. Until then, ladies and gentlemen, next week we'll continue more talking about the NBA. Trade deadline coming up. And more NCAA talk as well. But until then, ladies and gentlemen, we'll talk to y'all next week. Peace.